Good day, everyone. Now we were moving on to part 4, logical operators in conditions. In this section, we will discuss how to combine or modify conditions inside an if statement using logical operators. What are logical operators? Logical operators let you combine or modify conditions inside an if statement. They are used when a condition depends on more than one condition. These are all the logical operators available in C language. The first one called AND operator. These are two ampersands which are representing AND operator. The second one is called OR operator. These are two pipe symbols which are representing OR operator. And the third one is called NOT operator. This is an exclamation mark which represent a NOT operator. Now, let's try to understand these operators one by one. And this operator returns true only if both conditions are true. Use this when every condition must be satisfied, like checking if someone is old enough and a citizen, or at least one condition must be true. Use this when it's okay if just one condition is met. NOT. This flips the condition if something is true. NOT makes it false and vice versa. Use this when you want to check for the opposite, like if you want to allow access to non-members. These operators help us write cleaner and more precise condition in our if statement, especially when dealing with multiple requirements. Multiple conditions in one if. You can use AND, OR, and NOT to combine or flip conditions. Here's the example. What's happening in this code? The code above checks, is the person 18 or older? Are they a citizen? Both of these conditions must be true for the message to appear. The AND operator connects both checks if even one of them is false, like if the person is under 18 or not a citizen. If condition inside these round brackets evaluates to true, then we would get inside this if construct and we would be able to print this statement. Now, let's check the truth tables. This table shows us how logical operators behave with different combinations of conditions. A and B means both A and B must be true for the result to be true. A or B means at least one must be true for the result to be true. Now, let's go through some simple examples to make the table easier to understand. If A is true and B is false, A and B is false because both need to be true for AND to work. A or B is true because OR only needs one to be true. If A and B are both false, A and B is false because neither is true. A or B is also false because there's no true value at all. What does NOT A mean? The NOT operator means not A or the opposite of A. Not true becomes false, not false becomes true. This operator is useful when you want to flip a condition. For example, if a person is not a member, not is member will turn true. Short circuit evaluation. C++ evaluates logical expressions from left to right and stops early if the result is already known. For AND, if the first condition is false, it skips the rest. For OR, if the first condition is true, it skips the rest. This is called short-circuiting. It's a smart way for C++ to avoid wasting time or doing risky operations. Now, this is the example. This example, x less than 5 is false because we were using AND. C++ doesn't even check x/0 equal to. This prevents the program from crashing due to division by 0. So, short-circuit evaluation is not just efficient. It also helps protect your code from errors or dangerous operations. Now, let's talk about what this code is doing. We have two variables, age is 20 and citizen, which is true. The if statement checks two conditions. Is the person 18 or older? Is the person a citizen? Both conditions are combined using AND, which means both must be true for the person to be allowed to vote. Since age greater than equal 18 is true and citizen is also true, the output will be shown. You can vote. If either condition were false, for example, if the person were 16 or not a citizen, then the program would print the statement, "You are not eligible." This is a practical example of how logical operators like AND are used in decision-making scenarios in code. Now let's quickly review what we have learned. AND use this when all conditions need to be true. OR operator is used to check if at least one of the condition is true. NOT use this when you want opposite of a condition. We learned how AND, OR, and NOT help us combine conditions, how truth tables show their results, and how short-circuit evaluation makes our code more efficient. Thank you for listening.